Kill it with chemicals, but you have to be very, very careful with them, especially if you've got frogs or fish. So you must follow the manufacturer's instructions to the letter. I don't like using them at all, so what I do is to fish it out with a rough stick, just by sticking the stick into the pond, and you just twist it round and around, and you can pull out quite a bit. Now, I always drop this into a bucket of water after I've finished, just in case I've trapped any wildlife in there. That'll give them a chance to get out, and I can sort out all that a little bit later. Another thing you can do is to introduce some Daphnia into the pond. Now, these are those little water fleas that you can buy in the pet shop for feeding fish, and they actually live on green algae, so they do help a little bit. But of course, if you've got fish in the pond, you can't use them at all, because obviously the fish will eat them immediately. One of the reasons I've got this explosion of blanket weed, I'm sure, is because at the end of last season I pulled out too much of the oxygenating weed and upset the balance of the pond. You need about a third of the water covered with this weed in order to keep the water clear. So what I want to do now is to plant some more. But I've got another problem in the pond, and that's duckweed. And once you've got that, believe me, it's impossible to get rid of. I'm sure that I brought that in on plants. So what I do now is to wash any plants that I put in the pond very well in water first of all, just to make sure that there's no duckweed on them. Now, you can buy this oxygenating weed in these little clumps like this with a little lead weight on the bottom. And if you've got soil in the bottom of the pond, and that's what I recommend you do, you've just got to throw it in like that and it'll sink to the bottom and root. Of course, another thing that a pond does is that it enables you to grow a whole range of plants that you couldn't grow otherwise. Here, for example, I've dug another hole alongside the pond. I've extended the butyl liner into it and then refilled with the soil, which will always stay moist. So that means that I can grow all those plants in there that would naturally live next to the pond or the stream. Things like the lovely globe flower over there. Now that produces those superb yellow flowers over a very long period in the spring and the early summer. The astilbes make great plumes of flower, and they have this lovely foliage, of course, right the way through the season. And how about this primula? Now, all these plants will grow quite happily in sunshine, but they must have moisture. Well, that's nearly it for this week, but before I go, just let me remind you that if you're planning to visit the forthcoming Chelsea Flower Show, there are no tickets on sale at the gate this year. They have to be booked in advance, and there are only a very few left for Thursday, the 27th of May. So if you want one, then quickly phone their ticket sales line on 071 379 4443. And those ticket sales close on the 25th of May. Next week, Nicholas Ray visits one of the world's finest collections of Japanese azaleas. Francesca Greenoak seriously questions the value of formal bedding, and here at Barnsdale I'll be planting out my tender perennials. In the meantime, I wonder if you've found this flower in your garden. It's a beautiful plant, tall and stately and with lovely yellow flowers, but beware, this is oilseed rape, and you'll see hundreds of yellow acres of this all across the country, and it's now beginning to invade roadside verges and gardens. It looks very nice, but it seeds and spreads like mad, so don't let it seed. As soon as you see it, pull it out. Goodbye.